Welcome. So we're going to answer this question before us. It's taken from Vika 2017, the Northern Hemisphere, paper 1, question 3. And it's adapted simply because the original question looked like this. And as you can see, it was multiple choice. What we're going to be doing is constructing it ourselves. Okay. Peter, Sally, and Ben are managers in a business. The diagram below shows the direct communication that is possible between these managers and a worker, Whitney. Construct a matrix that represents the communication such that 1 indicates that direct communication from one person to another is possible, and 0 indicates that direct communication is not possible. Okay, so what we're doing in this question is we're taking a network and we're turning it into a matrix. That's what we're doing. We're taking a network and we're turning it into a matrix. That's what we're doing. Okay, so let's begin by setting this up and labeling everything nicely. So what are we going to do here? Well, in labeling these things, what I want to do is I want to take all my letters and I want to line them up. So I'm going to go and, if you're in a multiple choice scenario as well, you've got to work within the limitations of the multiple choice as well. So like, for instance, if I come over here and I'm looking at my multiple choice options, so this is you in an exam, and you think, well, how would I set it up? Well, do you see with all of them, they've all set them up the same way. PSBW, PSBW, PSBW. So obviously, when you're thinking about this question, you're going to notice that all of these PSBW, 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 you're only going to consider that way. Now, could you mess it up? Of course you could. You could change the order of it. But of course, in a multiple choice, you've got to look at the options that you're given and work within those limitations. So let's come over here and let me show you that you can change up the order. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that way because we've just asked to do it ourselves. So if we wanted to, we could say, all right, let's go B, P, S, W. What we have to make sure, if this is the how we're doing it this way, then we have to do the same letters, but now as a row. That has to be the same. Perfect. So hopefully you can see this is like, can B speak to B, can B speak to P, can B speak to S. But I also want you to take note here that direction matters, doesn't it? Because I'm going to talk whether or not, can Ben speak to Peter? Well, there's direction in that question, isn't there? So what we also have to consider is where are we going from and where are we going to? And again, it's really up to you, the direction you want to do it. If you wanted to make this to and this way from, you could do it that way. But again, I'm thinking back to like exam skills. You're going to look at the options that are given to you and you see how this is from, this is to, 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 this is from, this is to. That's the way you'd do it. You wouldn't do it another way. In the same way, you wouldn't mess up this because all of them are in the same order. So too, you would make sure that this is your from and this is your to. Now for this one, we will stick to it. So we'll say that this is from and this is to. But I need you to know that if you wanted to, you could swap those around. Okay, let's go. So let's come over here. Let's come here and let's ask ourselves some questions. The first, so I'm starting from Ben and going to Ben. Now, can Ben send a message to himself? No. If you look at all your arrows, you can see an arrow coming in, you can see an arrow going out, you can see an arrow going out, but there is no like arrow looping around on itself saying that Ben can send a message to himself. That doesn't exist. So that means this is 0. Can Ben send something to Peter? So from to, Ben to Peter. Well, here we've got Ben to Peter. We've got an arrow, and this arrow means we can. So we put a 1 there. Then we've got Ben to Sally. So we've got Ben to Sally. Do you see we've got an arrow there? So that's 1 there. Can Ben speak to Whitney? Well, hopefully you can see there is no direct communication between Ben and Whitney. There's no arrow going straight there. So we put a 0 there. And then we continue. Can Peter speak to Ben? So can Peter speak to Ben? We see an arrow there. They can. Can Peter speak to himself? He cannot. Can Peter speak to Sally? Oh, sorry, that's not Sally. He can speak to Sally. Peter to Sally would be right there. Can Peter speak to Whitney? Yes, he can, because we've got an arrow there. Can Sally speak to Ben? So we're starting from Sally, going to Ben. Yes, 1. Can Sally speak to Peter? Okay. Can Sally speak to Peter? Is there any arrows from Sally to Peter? No, there are not. They cannot speak to each other. Can Sally speak to herself? No. Can Sally speak to Whitney? They can. Sally can speak to Whitney. So there's a 1 there. And then for the last one, if we look here, Whitney only has arrows. Oh, no, wait, let's break this down. Can Whitney speak to Ben? No, there's no direct communication to Whitney to Ben. Can Whitney speak to Peter? No. Can Whitney speak to Sally? Yes, Whitney can speak to Sally. And Whitney can't speak to herself. And then we're done. That's how it would work. If you wanted to, we can come over here and we can just give this thing a name. We can call this Y. Let's give it this name. We can call this my matrix Y. And then we can say, all right, what is the element Y23 mean? What does the element Y23 mean? That means row 2, column 3. So row 2, column 3, that's a 1. So what does that 1 tell me? That 1 tells me that Peter can speak directly to Sally. Peter can send message to Sally. What if I chose another element? What if I chose the element Y44? Element Y44. Okay. This one here. Well, row 4, column 4 will be that one. What does this tell me? This tells me that Whitney cannot send a message to themselves. So let's write Whitney cannot send message to themselves. Perfect. And we're all done. The last thing I just want to reiterate again is you might be thinking, you know, does this have to be from? Does this have to be to? No, you could swap those around if you wanted to. And did I have to use the order B, P, S, W? No, you could have chosen any order. But if you're in an exam and if you're in a multiple choice, obviously you want to see what they've restricted you to. And in this one, they've restricted you to a certain order. So that's really important. Also, looking through these multiple choice questions, hopefully you can, like, it jumps out to you the ones that are clearly wrong. Like, look at this one. This has got 2s in it. What on earth is happening there? So immediately that one goes away. And yeah, that's kind of how you're going to think about it. All right. Hopefully that made sense. Another thing that you might like to notice is that our diagonal here is all zeros because B can't speak to P, P can't speak to P, S can't speak to S. If we come and look here, are any of our diagonals here not 0? 0, 0, 0. Ooh. Now they're all zeros. Zeros. Look, even this one's 0, which kind of confirms to you in the exam that people can't speak to themselves, which is good. But a nice straightforward question there. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you feel comfortable with it. And I'll see you in the next one.